So also Whaley actually shared about this pain, body pain actually. Everybody has it. Everybody has health issue. I have a health issue and I have pain, absolutely. But it's also a very interesting kind of opportunity, this intensive week, because I think many of you probably had some moment to realize that how much rubbish thought we used to deal. Because when you go through this kind of tight schedule, you have even no chance to think about it. But when you just, as soon as you have some energy, maybe from food or from rest, immediately we human being has a so strong mind karma to play with those things. And if it's just a play, that's fine. But we used to just transform it into suffering for yourself. And then often that also the dark energy also pointing out to others. So this is very interesting moment. So as she shared that, yeah, you have less and less checking or thinking, this refinement, which called, then you see you already get some more energy that you can use to put into something more productive, or not necessarily productive, but like you could take a role for more harmony, and even if the energy has enough, then you can think about even others. How you can actually sometimes help the others who has some suffering. One time, because I don't know if any of you have read the Diamond Sutra. I'm not really interested in, to be honest, reading sutras, but I had to, because in Korea, in Buddhist service, if a monk, do some like a funeral thing, that's one of the most popular sutra that we recite for the deceased. So often, not in Musangsa much, because it's not traditional Korean temple. So we read it, and then sometimes I just read without thinking about the meaning. And there are some words that repeat and repeat throughout the whole sutra. Is like a four kind of, in English, I don't know, four kind of concept or aspect. So like asang, which means a kind of the idea of ego, like an entity, right? Self, and the idea of personality, like an individual, that person. Idea of this, sentient being, like a being, and the idea of like some live soul. Anyway, it's even not easy to actually understand all these conceptual ideas, but there are, in the sutra, at some part, there is some mention about Buddha's past lives. Some of you probably read the Jataka stories, and then in the middle of the sutra, there is Buddha asked Subhuti, that what do you think if when Buddha his body was torn by the king, right? There's some story in Jataka that, the story was like one of the Buddha, one of the past lives time, Buddha was some bodhisattva, like a practitioner who's mainly practicing patience. So the king of the kingdom, one day, he went to hunt, bringing a number of court ladies, beautiful, pretty ladies, and of course some soldiers. He went to forest to hunt. And then they almost like a whole morning and afternoon they hunted, killed many animals, and then of course they had a barbecue party, and then the drink and dance, and then many of them fell asleep. Then this some of the court ladies had some kind of this good karma for practice. They didn't drink, and then they decided to take a long walk in the forest. All the king and all the soldiers, some other ladies also fell asleep. And they took a long walk to the forest, and then in the deep forest they found a practitioner who was in meditation. There was actually Buddha in many lives time ago. And then they saw this, the kind of energy. So they just naturally bowed to him. And then they offered some food they were carrying. And then they asked him to give them some teaching. And then Buddha was talking. Meanwhile, the king woke up and he saw many pretty ladies disappeared. So he started walking to find them, and finally he found them. And then they were actually just in front of this practitioner, and then the king was furious, and so he just pulled out his sword and pointing at these practitioners, the neck, and why do you take another man's woman? And then, let's say Buddha, at that time he was not this Shakyamuni Buddha, and the Buddha said, I have not taken any woman of another man. Why do you lie? All the ladies are just in front of you. You took them. No, I have not taken them. I was just giving some teaching because they asked for me. I was telling them human beings' life have suffering because we always carry on this I, ego, eternity. Only if we are free from this ego, eternity, or idea of this I, then we'll be liberated from suffering. I was giving this kind of speech. Then, so you mean there's no I, nothing of mine? And they say, originally there's nothing of mine. And then that time actually the king actually cut one of Buddha's arm with a sword. And of course, Buddha didn't move. And then the king demanded him answer. So, that's not yours. How about the other arm? And then there's nothing of mine. And then cut. And then one by one, actually I was very curious when I really didn't try to find the meaning of the Diamond Sutra. There is in the Sino-Korean Hae Jae. It's actually quite freaking me out because it's a quite brutal word. Hae Jae means actually you cut off like a part by part of your, piece by piece, your body. So I was wondering why this brutal word in Diamond Sutra. Because in the Dharma Sutra, that line is actually Buddha asked Subhuti that, Subhuti, what do you think if Buddha had this idea, conception of ego eternity, do you think he was able to be patient when his body was torn out by this king? So this story is actually from there, this Buddha's past lifetime story. So by the way, the king actually cut that practitioner's body piece by piece, while practitioner never resisted, and even, of course, didn't, have resentment, this anger toward this king. So because, of course, in the sutra, the teaching is about if all the sufferings originally from this idea of I. So only if we actually are free from this notion of this ego eternity, then actually you are truly liberated from all kind of suffering. So, of course, this story is more for, because we human being always so much attached to body. So first start with this body. But often we experience more sufferings often from this kind of, the notion of this self-eternity from mentally, that this is I, my condition. Why head monk asking me 10 minutes moktak? Because there are other people also, not fair. then actually more suffering. But of course, after all, she was able to deal with that. Just do it. That means actually this ego disappear at the moment. Then suffering disappear. So I thought it's we all understand, what this point, but very often we forget. I think, well, there are some time that anyway everybody will face the moment that, this is not mine anymore. This is not mine anymore. Or this, I'm seriously nowadays experiencing, this is not mine anymore. Because even I cannot now see well with it. Okay, this was not mine. Then a little bit comfortable. And everybody will face the moment. No one is exceptional. And even intensive week, I mean, everybody, each one has a different body condition. So we should understand. I appreciate actually each of you try your best. I myself try, but there is some limit of our physical strengths, and hopefully it's not from like our this mentality, that will. But mostly I see that each of us have some problem with our form. And when you get aged, absolutely, that it doesn't matter how your motivation is strong, or you cannot join intensive week anymore. Another story about Zen Master Sahn, you probably heard many times. He used to do this bowing practice a lot. Then when he became like a 70s or late his age, the nun, the Cheongsim, who was his attendant until he actually passed away in the Hwagesa, she told me one time, he's still bowing, in his room as his own practice. And then because his knee was completely broken, she told me, she saw one time she went in his room, then he stacked this cushion about this height. Because now he cannot really bend his knee and about this high, and then he just 1, 2, 3. He was bowing like that. That's amazing, right? I mean, that kind of spirit is, as I think, to me, it's kind of it's beyond life and death. So it's not about physical thing. Yeah, absolutely, there's a limit in our physical form, but your mind is so interesting, mysterious, that as she shared that, something that we are not able to make it with our form body. But still, if you have this fresh motivation and some very big reason, like a 4 great vows, it's a really big reason that why you actually chose this practice and the path and your life direction. That actually nothing to do with, really the limit of our physical form. And then when we realize that also give you lots of energy that you can keep going, through.